of the Partial Breakaway Podcast with your hosts Nick and Junior and producer Vince, bringing you elite fantasy hockey information to help you win your fantasy leagues and win at life.
Episode 94 of the Partial Breakaway Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Another week, another team, another preview. The Washington Capitals.
The Ryan Smith of episodes.
Ooh, the Yannick Perreault of episodes.
Ooh.
Nah, I got nothing.
Again!
Wait, was Sergei Berezin 94?
The Jacob Luko of
Oh my
episodes.
gosh.
74 was one of the Kostitsyn brothers, but
I'm 94. It's
94.
Are we ready, guys? We have another preview, another guest. Here's a little rundown of how this is going to work. We're going to do a little bit of intro and team overview, roster and lineup breakdown, goaltending outlook, power play and top scorers. Breakout, sleepers, and busts will be mixed in with a little rapid fire of over-under. And what's special about the Capitals one is that we've got an over-under of goals only, some of just points, and we have a goaltender on this list. So
Wow.
that'll be interesting. And prospects to watch. And lastly, season predictions and bold takes.
Well, who do we have on as a guest today?
Shall we introduce?
Let's introduce.
Let's do it. This member is an OG of the THPN, host of the Caps Chirp podcast. Just like the Capitals last season, this guest is just as entertaining. Let's welcome Hockey Troll! What's going on?
Holy, you guys are crazy with the intro, with the music. I've always wanted to come out to Eminence Front. You asked me about this, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing that for sure. Unreal intro, definitely the one of the best I've ever seen. So props for that, boys. And again, welcome to THPN. This is where you're in the big show now.
Yeah. Well, thanks for welcoming us. Actually, it's a great community. It's a great family, and we have nothing but good things to say about THPN.
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, we've been welcomed in, and we've had some great guests on this episode, on this podcast already, to help us preview this season, and we're looking forward to this one. I mean, the Caps is just a great topic this year. Can they repeat what they did last year? There's so many storylines with Ovi, and is this his going away tour or not? So, anyways, we're gonna get all into that. But before we get started, where can people find your work?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find the show, the official Caps Chirp podcast, at Caps Chirp on all socials. And you can find me at Hockey Trollin with an I in, also on all socials. So pretty simple there. Hit me up and chirp me for sure.
I just have to ask, is that Tom Wilson's face there?
St. Thomas? Yes, it is.
Just beautiful. For those watching on YouTube, that's some great background work over there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know that he can do no wrong. He's the patron saint of the Washington Capitals. He's just a great person and obviously an excellent hockey player.
Yeah. We're going to see if Ryan Leonard could maybe walk on in his footsteps a little bit and become an acolyte.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That would be nice. All right, let's jump right into it. Let's start with the intro and team overview. So, give us your overall take on this team heading into the new season. I mean, clearly this surprised everybody last year. Nobody was expecting them to do what they did. So, logic says they're trending upward. Do you agree, or do you think we should expect more of the same, or maybe a little regression?
Well, I would. So just to answer the question, I think a little regression is to be expected. I think that the Washington Capitals played really well. And honestly, I think that the New York Rangers and the New Jersey Devils really helped us out in the standings for sure. A lot of the talking heads last year said that the Caps were washed. They weren't even going to be a club team. The new coach, who knows? Ovechkin, too old. Supporting cast, non-existent. Everything bad you could say about a hockey team, I think, was said about the Washington Capitals last year. But I knew that was complete shit, and that's what we've got here. So I think that they performed admirably last year. It was just such an exciting thing to watch, and obviously with the goal scoring record being out there and being shattered by Ovechkin, just an insane moment in hockey history, right, boys? A record you never thought would have been even close to being touched, and we start talking about it 5 years ago that, what if, and we're all kind of fantasizing at that point, right?
Yeah.
In 2 years, and it's still top for discussion. And then finally, just a surreal moment, he actually does it. And, as a fan, you're just like, wow, just incredible. No words really. And what I was really impressed with the record is that how, Ovi's got the rock star stigma, selfish Russian moniker hanging over him his whole career, but such a class act, getting the boys in, saying like, I'd be nothing without you guys repeatedly, right? Not about me, about the team, something that as a Caps fan, we knew he was dedicated to, even though maybe from the outside looking in, you could see him, being such a rock star that it's hard to see, but ultimately just super impressed with his character in the moment and being humble, all about it. As far as the team goes though, yeah, man, I mean, I think the Washington Capitals are looking pretty good in what used to be the most competitive division in hockey is now kind of slipped down the wayside. You've got big question marks again for the New York Rangers. I think they'll bounce back and maybe challenge for that third spot or a wild card spot, whatever it may be. But last year, the Metro was pretty weak, for lack of a better term. And, I'm thinking this year, I think that the Washington Capitals are a playoff team. I'm not sure, though, that we will win the division. The fan in me says that we will be in a top 3 in the division spot, but I would definitely put money on us making the playoffs, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, just to interject, we had 3 guests on, all from your division, just prior to this, and all 3 of them pretty much said that as well. They were saying Carolina first,
Devils second.
maybe Devils second, Caps third, but that Devils and Caps can interchange there, and maybe New York bringing up the 4th spot. But yeah, that's exactly what everybody seems to be saying.
And just to touch on Ovechkin, count me in as one of the people who likes records to be broken. I mean, maybe not every year the same record being broken, but a record like this that can stand for a long time, and then it takes an exceptional player with an exceptional talent to beat it. And he did so. And, the younger generations, like as the younger we are, the more we see, like we argue Crosby, Ovechkin. It's or I love Crosby and I hate Ovechkin, or I love Ovechkin and I hate Crosby. Then the older you get, you just learn to appreciate both.
Yeah.
And I think that brought us back to reality a little bit. And I hope it did so for the younger generation. But I just appreciate greatness, and Ovechkin is greatness.
I think if you're a fan of hockey, forget Caps, forget Montreal, forget New York, forget everything. Just a fan of hockey, you enjoyed watching this, right? Like, it was such a cool thing to watch, to be part of, to witness in your lifetime.
Absolutely. And I will be on record saying I still hate Crosby, but but at the same time, and I have this conversation over and over with the mouth-breathing Yinzer Pittsburgh fans, right? And they're always saying, Crosby's the GOAT, greatest of all time. And I'm like, he's barely top 10 in any meaningful category. You want to come at me with points per game. Longevity matters in this sport, boys. So I look at it and I stand by the statement that I think Alexander Ovechkin, when it's all said and done, will be the more historically significant figure of the two. But clearly, Penguins fans and Crosby supporters will obviously say, well, look, he won. He won more. He accomplished more with the team, and he's the consummate team guy. Yeah, but I look at Ovechkin and think like, man, but this is a guy who, revolutionized that goal scoring position, right? I mean, we all know that it's coming from the same spot. They haven't been able to shut it down for 2 decades. It's crazy the amount of and people say the team works for him and all that, but it goes both ways there, So I think Sidney Crosby is no doubt a generational talent and an excellent player. But when you look at big picture, like all-time greats, I'm not sure he's top 10. So I'm sure I just got a lot of people angry at me. Fucking haters.
And Ovechkin went through what, 2 full lockouts?
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
so I
Yep.
mean, this record could have been broken long ago if those
And
lockouts
he
didn't
broke his
happen.
damn leg and
Yeah.
still scored 44 goals, guys. That's crazy.
yeah,
All right. So moving on to like a more fantasy take. Last year was like a lot of players surprised. And from a general perspective, can we still rely on Washington Capitals players to help us in our fantasy leagues? And mostly like we're talking points here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I'm not as good at fantasy obviously as you guys, but I've been involved in many drafts before, and you look at the number one center is probably going to be Dylan Strome, right? And this guy is sneaky good. He's sneaky productive. I don't think point per game is out of his reach. So, and this is a guy that you may be able to pick up in late rounds, right? Or mid rounds, right? Nobody's thinking my first pick's going to be Dylan Strome, right?
Right.
So this is a guy who may be a workhorse for you on the back end there, like as a late draft pickup. And then, I also look at Protas, McMichael. McMichael, a bit of a streaky player, but that's his big knock. But he's been toiling away, not only in the minors, but getting those looks up top in the big league. I think that that management, while it frustrates the fans to not bring up these young guys, because my favorite young adult is going to be the next thing that saves the franchise and get us a cup. That never happens, right? And so you look at McMichael, and I think that management has done an expert job of developing him, moving the goalposts in a manageable way for that player. A guy who I absolutely love is Protas, right? Alexei Protas. We've got his brother in the system. The dude's a fridge. I mean,
Yeah.
on skates, he's huge, an excellent skater. And a young player who has only gotten better throughout the years. And while the focus was on McMichael, people didn't realize that Ilya Protas made this team a couple years ago and never left, right? So he's been there, he's been around, he's paid his dues, and I love the way that he plays. I love his physicality. I love the way he creates space. And he's an underrated playmaker as well. So if you're looking for assists, this might be the guy. He can also bury too, and has that crazy first 3 stride burst speed. It's incredible, right? It gets him open and whatnot. So those would be like the young guys that I'd be looking for. I do think Hendrix Lapierre is going to get one last crack at it with the Caps, and I think that the Caps really want him to pay off. Go ahead.
It's good. I love that you mentioned him because it took they don't rush anybody. The Capitals. They haven't rushed any of the young players. Protas is 24 years old. Connor McMichael's 24 years old. He had his breakout season last year. Lapierre is about to turn 24 years old. So
Only 27 games last year.
I can see this being a breakout year for Hendrix Lapierre.
Yeah, well, let's move right into it. I mean, when we're talking about top 6, how do you see the top 6 shaking out?
Yeah, so you're gonna have Ovi. I still think, man, I still do think that he's going to be playing top 6 minutes. How could you? He scored 44 goals last year.
Jesus.
I don't know how you take him down. And here's the thing: if he didn't break his leg, that number could have been close to 60, right?
Yeah.
Within the 50s. I would say 55 is completely reasonable. Because he was on an absolute heater during the time too, and you know how goal scorers are; they like to do it in bundles, and Obi is no exception there. So I'm thinking, and credit to Spencer Carberry, he's a guy that is not afraid to put the lines in the blender and just go with it. So I always look at the opening lineups, and I'm like, well, that's going to change, right? But ultimately, I look at Ovi, Wilson, Strome, probably top. Maybe that top 4, right? And then I think Protas is going to carve out he's going to play a mixture of third line and second, I would say. I think there's and it is a tough question. For the first time in 2 decades, the top 6 for the Washington Capitals seems to be up for grabs, which is an exciting time for a young player, right?
Yeah.
I could see Connor McMichael getting top 6 minutes, Pierre-Luc Dubois, for sure going to be a top sixer there. He's going to probably be a second line center. And so that kind of rounds out the top 6 for me. Not sure where Leonard and LaPierre go. I tweeted out, if LaPierre scores 35 points on the third line, you're pumped about it as a Caps fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's a not crazy number, but I think that can solidify him as a bona fide NHLer. I think the third line is the hardest position to play in the National Hockey League and hockey in general when you're running 4, because your fourth line guys, they're just there to not get scored on, get the pucks deep, 2 big hits, get off, right? Your top 2 are going to be force-fed minutes. Top 2 lines are going to be force-fed minutes anyways. The third line, you have to be infallible defensively, but you also have to score. And so you can see teams across the league that basically run 2 fourth lines. And when you get into that, they hit the playoffs. They might make the playoffs, probably do in many cases. And then their depth becomes an issue, right? And so that third line scoring is something that the Washington Capitals really, really need to hone in on. And that's been the large gap last season. And I think that's what's going to be a weakness going forward, because we're going to have to populate that third line likely with guys like Beauvillier, and who's no slouch, but he's not and he can break a game every once in a while, but he's not a star. And then, you've got guys who are up and coming, like Leonard, LaPierre, McMichael, even maybe even Protas see some time down there, depending, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the fourth line is solid. We've got Dowd and Duhaime, love those guys, and then we got this new guy, Sordiff. So who knows where he slots in? He could be a third line anchor as well. Would love to see him work out there. So I hate to be that guy that gives you that well, it could all be anything, but I think there's structural, skeletal makeup there that I hope I've communicated well. But I think that there's going to be a lot of, with this team, when you're getting players, I think that you can assume that if they're in the top 9, they could be playing anywhere, at any given.
Yeah. And Carberry is one of the best coaches, I think, in the league.
Yeah.
And he just knows how to get people motivated. Like, you've seen how Sandin, for example, on the defensive side, bounced back this year. He had a horrible year the year before, but Carberry just knows how to get a lot out of these players. He knows how to play with the young guys. His system works. Like, this is the best rebuild, retool, whatever you want to call it, in the entire league, and everybody's envying the Capitals right now and how they've rebuilt their team in such short notice and such success.
The players all bought in. And Sandin didn't need to be that point getter, the guy to get them 50 points from the back end. He understood that, your offense will come if you play that steady second pair defenseman, and he did it flawlessly. I love their decor. I find their decor is one of the best in the league.
So talking about the decor, how do you see the decor playing out this year? What pairs do you see getting the most ice time? Obviously, Chychrun was a great get for the Caps. Plus, you have the old vet in Carlson there. Is this his last go around? I don't know, but you tell us.
America's ass himself. I love John Carlson. That's a great story, right? This is a guy who the Washington Capitals, homegrown, drafted him, went through Hershey, won back-to-back ships in the AHL, came up, and is an absolute stud. I think he's criminally underrated. I thought he was going to win the Norris that one year. He led the D-men in scoring, and I was, I think Adam Fox or some other douche got it. But again, maybe it was Carlson. I don't remember. But either way, I think John Carlson still has a lot of life left, a lot of tread on the tires there. I think that he could re-sign for a team-friendly 2, 3, maybe even years. I expect the same from him night in and night out, and that's what he's built a career on, right? Being a good two-way guy. But the best part about Chychrun is that you have, John Carlson started his career as a shutdown guy, a guy who could play solid defense and move the puck walk around. He wasn't always going to the net. He wasn't always jumping up into the offense. So he still has that. Yes, Caps fans are going to be mad about John Carlson. When you're playing 30 minutes a night, sometimes you offer up a pizza through the middle, making a risk, right? Every team's top defenseman does this. It's not a plague for the Washington Capitals. But with Chychrun in the mix now, and then Sandin kind of adding some secondary scoring on the back end, that's a great mix, and that takes a lot of pressure off John Carlson. So I think, and you talk about, last year, all the moves that the Washington Capitals made in the offseason paid off for him. Pierre-Luc Dubois, he put in a pretty good performance. Guys who were kind of on the outs in the team that they're at, and kind of an all-time low value, at least in perception, are guys that the Washington Capitals are willing to take risks on because their lineup allows for a person of that skill set to fit right in, right? We're not asking Pierre-Luc Dubois to go in and rag the puck and hit people. We're asking him to be creative, be the goal scorer and the playmaker that he is. For Chychrun, we're asking him to be an offensive defenseman, not, get berated when he comes back to the bench for taking a risk and getting burned on it, right? And as you said, that goes to coaching, that goes to management, that goes to expectations, all of which I feel are clearly outlined for every player, something that has plagued the National Hockey League. Guys talk constantly. I didn't know what was expected of me. Coach talked to me twice this year, and then I got booted, to Utah or whatever it may be. It used to be Arizona, right? But so that's, going back to the D core, another guy who I really, really like, who's not, he's what I would call Dmitry Orlov 2.0, and that is Martin Ferriari. Again, another homegrown guy who's done incredibly well, solid physical presence, not a bad offensive guy who can, sometimes contribute, but his main role has been in the shutdown. So, I really like our top four for sure. And so, I'm thinking as far as points getters, I would love to see Sandin score a couple more for sure.
Yeah.
More handfuls. But I think you can rely 100% on John Carlson, Jacob Chychrun to get their looks.
Yeah, agreed.
And what was supposed to be your Achilles heel last year and your goaltending? I think everybody was laughing at the Lindgren Logan Thompson duo, and I think I don't think they did prove everyone wrong. So can they keep up what they did last year this year?
Yeah, so I loved the way that the team managed the goaltending last year, and honestly, I go on rants about this. Okay, so when the NHL was the 1900s, and everybody was like smoking cigs, and like the goalies were doing that, and like they were playing in front of crowds of 1,000 at most, right? NHL rosters did not allow for a backup goalie. You only got one, and if that guy went down, and he's not even wearing a mask, right? And he's wearing like hardened leather. As like, he might as well be going and fighting the Babylonians or whatever the hell, right? Like, the type of stuff he's wearing. If he went down, they would literally go into the crowd because a lot of college players and club players would be there. Hey, can anyone sit in for goalie for us at this NHL game? And they would pause the game until that happened. Also, if you got injured, you were shipped off. That was it. Terry Sawchuk was adamant about playing every game because he thought that if he took one night off, he'd be traded or shipped away, right? Goaltenders have always been kind of the getting the boot on and the short end of the stick, if you will. And so, let's take that to today, right? Yes, a competitive athlete is going to want to play as much as they can, right? Yeah. But what if, hear me out, since we have two goalies that are very similar, and you look at these two goalies and, if they didn't have names on their back, their style of play is almost a mirror image. Their body type is almost a mirror image. Their attitude, same way, man. I mean, they could have been twins at birth, it seems, right? Just the way that you look at them set up in net. Why not? It's a you go, I go. Now I know my workload as an athlete. I know that I'm going to have this game, and I'm going to have a night off to watch, learn, rest. Next game, it's even more of motivation to come out, play my best game. And both goalies had this, right? I was kind of hoping that they would do this for the first round of the playoffs against the Canadians and just see what happened. Now, in you look at these tandems, you always see a team will play better in front of a certain goalie. It's voodoo, right? I mean, no one can predict. And I think the team played better in front of Logan Thompson. And I think Logan Thompson had a couple more game-saving saves throughout his tenure. Would I call him a clear number one in the regular season last year? I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure I would. I love Chucky. I think Charlie Lindgren's great. I think he signed a very team-friendly deal. And again, he cites, coach sat me down, said, I'm part of a bigger picture here for the next few years. I'm going to take less money than the quote-unquote number one guy who's a little bit more established. And I say established loosely because Logan Thompson, up to this point in his career, has never played true starter minutes, right? He's not taking 2/3, 3/4 of the games. So I thought it was, why? And this is a great ideological change, I think, for the Washington Capitals and for hockey in general. And this is why Carbs is getting so much credit. Is that why? Square peg in a round hole. Why force someone to play something that they're not? Why do that when it's just easier to double down on what they're good at? And I think that you can see that up and down the roster here. And I think that the goaltending will be the same as last year, give or take, maybe a 10% standard deviation. Either one of those goalies may go up and down, but because we run a two-headed monster, those changes and those maybe lacking performances will be mitigated just through how they're managing the workload.
Yeah, I like that answer.
Yep, 100%.
It's a good tandem to have. And Logan Thompson is one of the players that I own shares of. I don't own the player. I own shares of him. And he was just phenomenal. Last year he was phenomenal for me. And there was a lot of question marks about him leaving his previous employer and coming here. And I think he showed a lot of people that he was meant to be a really good goalie, and he was better than what others let on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The chip on the shoulder is a powerful tool,
Absolutely. That's it for goalies. All right.
Moving on to the power play. So since they acquired Chychrun, they did tend to use two defensemen on the power play, which nowadays is scarce, right? It's rare. Almost nobody does that, and it seemed to work because it gave a bit of balance in terms of you can't just cover Ovechkin because Karlsson and Chychrun have pretty solid shots as well.
You can't cover Ovechkin anyways.
Yeah, regardless. He doesn't even have to move and you still can't cover him. But, so do you see, how do you see the first power play unit playing out? Do you still see maybe Wilson keeping that spot on the first unit, or can maybe one of the younger guys knock him down a notch? I mean, Protas barely got any power play time last year, right? I think he only had one power play point. So does he make a push now for one of these units, or is it set in stone? That's the first unit.
And just to clarify, Washington was tied 13th, 14th in power play percentage.
Nice.
Last year.
Yeah, and those aren't terrible numbers. Obviously, they're a far stretch from back when it was automatic, right? Mike Green, Alex Simmons, Backstrom. Oh my God! And Nick Backstrom just signed with Brynäs out in Sweden, so he's looking good. Saw him skating. Wish the best for him. Love that guy. I think with the defense, and you're right. It was kind of shocking to see two defensemen on that power play, which just again goes to show how much faith they have in John Carlson. I would say that when offense is needed, that John Carlson probably comes off in lieu of PLD, maybe. They're trying to make Tom Wilson TJ Oshie on that bumper position, and he was, how lights out was TJ Oshie just right in front of the net with that one-time quick snapper. So again, here I think that there's going to be a lot of experimentation. I wouldn't be surprised to see Protas McMichael get a couple looks early on in the season. But the cool thing about it is that they're on, they could go for second power play, right? Ovi stays out there the whole time. I would assume that he might be doing the same thing. I mean, right? I have no reason to believe that they're going to change that up, but I'm sure that, hey, maybe something gets stale. It's been a big issue for Caps fans, at least, about the power play and mixing it up. And I prefer more of a motion offense rather than working it around the perimeter and then setting up a guy either in front or at the OV spot, or, trying to work off chaos off a point shot. But at the same time, last year it was good. So I don't think they're going to be changing too much. I think that PLD and Strome are both going to get heavier looks. I think that they might be more 50% at the beginning of the season and see who's the winner, who does better. If not Tom Wilson, I think that Protas, if he can get that release down, I mean, that's not an easy shot to execute, right? I mean, you have a decent angle, but you've got to get it away so quickly, and you're really relying on the rest of your playmaking ability for the rest of the team to distract and open you up for that. So if they can nail something down like that, that would be great. But of course, Ovi's going to get his PPG, so I think that's a strong draft in any case.
That's some good insight though there.
Yeah.
With Pierre-Luc Dubois and Dylan Strome maybe switching it up a little bit at the beginning in order to see who sticks on that top PP. So that's why we have guests. We wouldn't know.
They
that
know
stuff.
more than us.
There
Absolutely.
you go. If you guys win any money, then I'll just bill you at the end of the season.
Sounds good.
Deal. He pretty much covered all the questions with that answer. So
That's excellent.
Do you want to do the over-unders or prospects first, Nick?
Let's do prospects.
So I just want to. I'm just.
we're going off script here, Hockey
No,
Troll.
but it's just in Montreal. We're really excited about prospects for the first time in 20 years as Montreal fans. And then I look at Washington's prospects and I'm like, okay, so they're going to be losing Alex Ovechkin at some point and Carlson's at some point. And then I'm just looking at prospects and I'm like, Jesus, you got Cole Hudson coming in. You got Leonard, who's already on the team. You have Andrew Cristal, who's a smaller player, but talent up the wazoo. You have Ivan Miroshenko, who's been dominating in the AHL the past few years. And then you have a young player in Tarek Parasak. And then you have like the Fridge, who's Protas' brother, Ilya. Like, how do you feel about all these prospects, the prospects pool of the Washington Capitals?
I'm feeling good.
It's funny because 5-6 years ago, there was an article that came out, Washington, the dead last rated prospect pool in the NHL. Then we go and squeeze off back-to-back Calder Cups, and everybody's, now they have the best prospect pool. Isn't it amazing? Right.
The talking heads.
Right, of course, yeah. Big J journalists, if you will. So that's okay. I am excited about our prospects, but in all prospects, what's the percentage? 20% of first round draft picks play over 100 games in the NHL. And then from there, it drops off a freaking cliff, right?
Yeah.
And we're looking at this. LaPierre is looking that statistic right in the face right now. I didn't mind Ryan Leonard last year. I don't think he had enough. I think that management's high on him. I think he's going to get force-fed minutes. I think they think he's ready. Love the grit of the kid, but he hasn't shown me anything to be overly impressed about. A guy who I really like is Ivan Miroshnichenko. I think that he has looked the most NHL ready out of all of them coming up. Chris Stahl, the Protas Jr., right, Ilya, and the other guys that you mentioned. I think they still need time to cook. They may get, the NHL rules change. So preseason is very rookie heavy, right? A prospect heavy. I think we're going to see a lot of that, and that'll be great. That'll be great for them. I don't get to watch a lot of Chris Stahl because he's on the West Coast, right? Mm-hmm. But when I look at him, I think, man, I mean, you're looking at like another possible Martin St. Louis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so much talent.
Yeah.
Right? Like just absolutely silky, filthy dude who's just smart too, and understands that he's an undersized player, right? He's not a TJ Oshie who plays like he's 6'9", right? And that's a good and bad thing. But if you're looking at an offensive hole to plug, I think Chris Dahl is a great option, at least from what he's shown in development camp last year and in the preseason. Now, who knows what actually pans out? Obviously, the Washington Capitals went and loaded up, as they always do, with bona fide NHLers, right? And they're depth players, right? Like that's Sardif guy, and then Chisholm on the back end, right? So who knows? The Washington Capitals, just like any good run team, want to have a backup plan, not putting all of their eggs in one basket with these prospects. But I don't see it in a this year, next year window for those guys that you mentioned. I see it in a more 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
A year or two maybe removed from the Ovechkin era.
Mm-hmm.
Then we start to see, okay, maybe we eke into the playoffs for those years. But now we really are relying on those guys that we drafted, and those guys that have been in the system to start paying up as to what they are actually able to do. So overall, that's my prospect outlook. But man, you never know. The NHL season's grueling. It's getting only longer, right? I think it's
84 games.
People are gonna get injured. Who knows who's coming up? And an interesting move was Miroshnichenko got moved up when Ovi was injured, right? And so management knows that, and if they've come out and admitted, he's part of our long-term plans. The guy's an absolute gamer, and talk about the personal battle, coming back from the cancer diagnosis and getting drafted, falling in the draft because of that. We pick him up and great story around the kid for sure.
Yeah.
But another Russian sniper is definitely something that we're ready for.
Familiar with too.
Yeah, right. And so, that's obviously something that I would love to see. I would say out of all those guys, I'm thinking that Miro's going to be getting the most ice time in the show from all of them.
Awesome.
You can go over now.
All right. The fun part. This is going to be something that we share on social media. So if you get any of these wrong, it's on you. It's not on us.
Love it. Okay.
All right, Hockey Troll. Here we go. So over under for Dylan Strome points wise, 71.5 points. Over or under?
You know what? I got to go with my boy. That's an over. I'm smashing the over there.
Absolutely.
I think he's point per game this next season.
Yeah, he doesn't fill out a lot of the other categories like hits or blocks, but this guy is a number one center that puts up points, and he's just great at it.
Last year was his coming out party. I feel the same way. I think he'll keep it up.
All right. Alexei, spelled correctly here?
No, there's missing. The L is supposed to be a K.
Alexei Protas, 29.5 goals. So will he reach 30, basically, is the question.
Will he repeat last year?
Over or under?
Man, and I guess I can't bet the line, huh? Goals. That's tough. Man, 29.5, you said, so 30 has to be 30. You know what? I'm a homer and a fan. And I love that guy, and I have since day one. I'm smashing the over there too.
Excellent. That's what I want to hear. He was my best waiver wire pickup, maybe like third week of the season last year, and I just put him on my team, and he just kept going. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna drop him when he slows down. Never slowed down. Kept going.
30 goals with no power play.
No power play time, and he was just putting up points.
That's just ridiculous stat.
And I think that's the knock on breaking that 30 is that he doesn't get PP time, but he may this season. And on top of that, consistency so early in a career is something that he has thrived on. And to your point, he never fell off.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The Alexander the Great. Are we hitting 40 over or under 40.5?
Oh,
This is a tough one that you sent him. Jeez.
I know this is going to sound blasphemous, but because this is his farewell tour and he's done it all right, I've got him on the under. I'm going to put him at 35.
Still a great season.
Yeah.
He's 40 years old. Like
40 years old.
35
And
goals.
the reason it's 40 is because his average, he was scoring over 40 goals. Like, it's wild.
He's going to have a champagne birthday, 40 for 40.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope that's one that like I hope people come after me for. But for sure.
All right. Let's go with one of the young guns. A possible Calder player, Ryan Leonard. 41 and a half points in his rookie season.
Oof. That is a 41 and a half points. That's a very strong rookie campaign for a guy.
Yeah.
You know, and not to knock the NCAA, I think they're coming up in big ways, but it's a jump, man. I mean, it's a huge jump. NCAA to the NHL, right? I mean, it would be a big jump to the A from the NCAA. I'm going to go under here. I think 35 there is also a good number.
I agree with you. We've always said that if a rookie could even hit 45 points, that's an amazing rookie. That we're talking about top 5 pick in the league at that point, right?
Yeah, like we had Mishkov over under 45 points last year, and that was the debate, and we had him over
Yeah. What did he hit finally?
in the 50s.
52
In the
and
50s. Yeah, that's right. All right. Nobody wants to talk about Philadelphia here. Jacob Chikrin, 13 and a half goals. That's interesting goals, for a defenseman. 13 and a half.
I believe
Over or under?
he scored, was it 15 last year?
Yeah, I'm smashing the over here. I think that was an easy one. I'm going over. I think Chikrin is going to have a ton more offensive responsibility. He's going to get looks on the he's going to get looks on the power play a lot, and he is definitely not afraid to shoot the puck. And man, I mean, he's got that old school wrist shot that I love.
Yeah.
You know, there is no it's just overpowering you. It's just a snipe that is too fast for you to get, and that's it. No deception. Old time shot there.
Yeah, no head bobbing like Lane Hudson 17 times before shooting. All right. Finally, the goalie, Logan Thompson. We want to know, is he going to go over or under 29 and a half wins?
Whoa. So what do you have last year around that, right?
Last year he was 31, 6 and 6.
So 31 wins
wins
last
last
year.
That's right at the line, right? Like we're
And he had 25 in 46 games with Vegas
the year
Right.
before.
the year before that.
That's a tricky line.
That
All
is
I think it depends on how many
Yeah,
games he'll play, and
exactly,
that's
right,
that's
right. This is the hardest one. This is because look, I mean, Chucky could steal it from him, and that is always to start in net in DC. You have to steal if you want to be a good goalie in DC, which DC has a strong history of goaltending. You have to steal the net from a golden boy or somebody who's a number one already. Braden Holtby did it. Ole Kolzig did it. Every
Carey.
goalie. Yep, they all stole it right there. Somebody went down, somebody played like crap, and then it was them from then on. I think that we're getting away from that, like I said earlier, with how they're managing it. I would think that it's you go, I go again. Oh, because I think that the Caps are due for a bit of a regression, and this isn't really a knock on the goaltender at all. I'm going to say under here. This one was by far the hardest decision, I think.
I would have gone the same way.
Yeah,
We saved the best for last, right?
Yeah, exactly.
well, you know what? Like, he's never played number one goalie games. Like games played was always like the most he's played is 46 with Vegas, but his numbers are so damn good. Like his save percentage was never under 900. Like you're talking 914, 915, 908, 910. Quality starts percentage 62, 56, 54. Like when he plays, he's good.
Yeah.
And whether he plays 19 games like the first year in Vegas or 43 like he did in Washington, the guy's solid.
And his save percentage is always around the same, right? 910, 908 the last 2 years. It's and that was two different teams.
Yeah.
So I really like this goalie. I really hope that he continues success in this way because I think he's a great story.
I think he'll be close to 29 wins. I don't know if he'll hit it, but he'll be pretty close. A lot of people are expecting Washington to regress like big time.
Oh, I wouldn't say
But
big.
I don't think it was necessarily a fluke last year. So I think a lot of people will be surprised again, even though they shouldn't.
No doubt. And again, I don't think that that's an indictment on Logan Thompson himself. I think that the team may let him down a handful of times, which may get him out of that 30 win range, especially with his workload.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay, so as a season outlook, I think we pretty much said you see them maybe finishing third. Do you want to give us a bold prediction for the season? Whether it's a team prediction, a player prediction, anything you want.
Yeah, absolutely. While I smash the under on Ovi, I would not be surprised if he turns in another 40-plus goal season. That's probably not so hot. I think that the Washington Capitals are one of the best teams in the Metro. Okay, we got smashed up. We just do not match up well against Carolina, right? And we're like one of the 3 teams that match up the worst, I think, against Carolina, and we just happen to get them. And as we get younger, I think that we're going to be able to negate more speed. So you know what? Hey, look, Washington Capitals going on a cup run, Eastern Conference Finals at least next year.
I love it.
You heard it here first, Capitals. Stanley Cup winners.
You know what? That's what he said. We're going to radio him.
Yep. So you heard it here first. Put the money on it now while the odds are good.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I love it though because it's such a fun team. It's such a well-coached team. You have leadership, you have vets, you have young guys. Like it's going to be a fun season, man. This season, I'm really excited to watch Washington hockey.
The Metro division is wild. Like you have Carolina, who's like a fixture in the top 3.
Yeah,
people are questioning Washington. Are the Rangers going to come back to life? Are the Devils going to finally
Stay healthy.
not underachieve? Columbus is at the cusp of taking over one of these teams' spots.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about Pittsburgh, the Islanders, or the Flyers, but
isn't
they're up and comers
some
too. But
great-
like it'll
some
take
great
longer.
coaches in this division, right?
Yeah.
Like you're talking about Brendan Moore. You're talking about Sheldon Keefe is questionable, right? He's from Toronto, so but
Fuck that.
screw that. But the rest of them, right? Like we have Sullivan in New York now. We have Carberry here. What's Tocchet in Philadelphia? It's just a really cool. The Metro is a really cool division, I find.
I think it's realistic to think that 5 teams from the Metro make the playoffs.
That's
That's
a TMZ take.
that means you're not having Montreal in the playoffs.
We'll get to that when we speak of the Eastern Conference. I mean, the Atlantic Division.
Yeah, and so I'm glad you brought up Columbus. They're going to be an absolute liability, I think, in the next couple years, if not this next year. Really absolute tragic thing that happened with Gaudreau there, and Monahan obviously playing out of his mind for it, and that's huge. But there's going to become a point where Columbus may not need Monahan to score damn near 100 points, right? Like there is going to be a time where enough draft picks, they're not Buffalo. So enough draft picks and enough, you're going to get it right eventually. And I think that, Columbus is starting to turn a corner. I was scared about them last year a little. I didn't think they were a bona fide playoff team, but, they could upset. And you know what? This is the NHL after all. Any team can beat any team, I think, in any given night. So that's why we play 7 games in the playoffs. And I think Columbus is going to be one of those rising stars, not only in the Metro, but league wide. They're going to start gaining some respect. And I hate to say it because, they were like the whipping boys of the entire division. And now, just like, in the Southeast division, we had the Florida Panthers in there and the Carolina Hurricanes that we used to beat up on all the time.
That's right.
And now here we are, Columbus, history repeats itself.
Well, Hockey Troll, this has been a lot of fun. Really appreciate this. Just recap, where can people find your work? Where can people follow you? All that good stuff.
And thanks a lot. This has been an awesome interview. You guys have a great show, and I'm so happy to be on it. So thanks again. You can find me at Hockey Trollin with an I-N on all socials, and you can find the official Caps Chirp podcast at Caps Chirp on all socials and anywhere you get podcasts. And again, welcome another great show. coming on to the THPN family network here. So love to see it, boys. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you. We appreciate,
Yeah, we really appreciate
those comments, and we'll do this again for sure.
Absolutely.
This was
Throw him a
amazing.
follow, guys. Throw him a follow on Twitter. Throw him a follow on the podcast as well.
Yeah, we'll be
Subscribe,
sure to
like.
tag on our post.
Yeah, we're gonna tag, retweet. We're gonna throw it all out there so that people could see everything that you could provide us, and you definitely gave us some insight. So this is great.
entertaining season to come. Thanks a lot, Hockey Troll.
Hell yeah, boys. Take care.
Take
Thank
care.
you, guys.
Take care. Thank you.